this is Tony.
This is Paul coming at you from the Friends for Life podcast.
And we're go. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friends for Life podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a review on iTunes and Stitcher. Our next guest is John Grant. He owns a company named You First, and he's awesome because he actually puts our individuals first. But hey, he's got awesome things to tell us and a little secret in the end.
We are here at the third podcast, Friends for Life podcast.
Numero tres.
Our microphone setup's grown.
Yes.
Got guests. We've got cameras.
We've got painted walls.
We got painted walls.
All right,
We're looking good in here. And we got John here with us today. Why don't you give us your little elevator speech for us so we can introduce you to the world?
Sure. My name is John Grant. I've owned and operated You First by Grant Services for the last 7 years. Known Tony for probably about three and a half years, somewhere in that. So we've got some crossover with people that we both work with, and so gotten to know Tony over the last couple of years, and excited to see what we're going to dive into today.
Yes.
We never know what we're going to get into.
Awesome.
We're always. So why don't you tell us about your business before we get started? What you do, what you're about.
Awesome. So probably, I don't know, I spent most of my career, I've been in the field for about 20 years. Spent about 13 years out at Sunshine out in Maumee and primarily in the residential space. And honestly, it just wasn't cutting it as a newly married man with young kids. The hours of residential don't necessarily jive with what you're trying to do with your own life, your personal life. I was last stop at Sunshine. I was their director of their vocational program for the last year and a half. And when I was doing that, I learned a lot about that particular space. I learned a lot about some of the upcoming changes that were coming, the rules that were currently in place, the rules that they were going to be in the future, and how that would, basically apply. So long or the short, I looked at the program that I was currently managing, basically noticed there were ways that I thought maybe that could move forward in a better direction. And ultimately, I guess, got to the point where I decided it might be easier for me to try to do this solo. One of the awesome things about working for a big company is you got a lot of support, a bigger bank account, a lot more resources, but also it just takes a lot longer to get things done. You can't make a decision on your own.
Yeah. Right.
So, I had a vision. I mapped it out in my head. I bounced it off people I trusted. Made the decision to just leave the place I'd been at for 13 years and basically open up my own vocational program. When we opened it, our goal was, as still is today, to have locations that are basically centered around the individual. So instead of, a lot of times I felt like at least 7 to 10 years ago, you'd have a program that people would come and tour, and it was almost like the individual had to adapt to the program. That was backwards then, and it's even more backwards now, especially that the federal and state government is saying it's backwards.
Right.
So the goal now, and what we tried to be the leaders of and jump out in front of 7 years ago, was You First basically stands for like your first. You come to us. We're not going to tell you what we're all about and what we're trying to do. You're going to tell us what you want, what your dreams, what your desires are. Basically, the vision of the person-centered planning. And we're going to basically try to have our program adapt to you versus you coming into our program. So we take it pretty serious when we have somebody new come and tour. We tell them all the things that we currently do, but we let them know we want to hear what you want to do, because we're either going to be able to meet that need or we're not. And I'm not one to bullshit or say that we can do something when I know we can't. So a lot of times it's parents and individuals, they appreciate that honest, we're not going to work for you. We don't have the resources, but hey, this program over here would be great for your individual. So it's been pretty exciting. I think, we've definitely learned a little along the way, but overall, I think 7 years later, we're still basically doing the exact same thing that we've been doing since day one, which is meeting people, finding out what they want, and then trying to either adapt what we currently have to meet what they need, or if we don't have that, but we can do it, find out a way how to do it where we can afford to do so.
And if I could say, like, I seen it firsthand. like I've had individuals, but I still have individuals that we service in residential and others who have go to your program, and they might go to other programs at the same time, but they're always saying, hey, we want to go to you first more. Can we go to you first more? And it's like, hey, John, can you? And it's like, oh, Tony, I'm stuck. Like, hey, we're, and that's, I think, one of the hardest things when you have a good program that you work is that you don't have space for everybody right away. Us greats have waiting lists, and it takes time to keep that same quality. So
absolutely,
I definitely take my hat off to you.
Yeah.
I think his operation, how he has things going, is phenomenal.
And that's awesome. Did you we like to highlight a lot of the growing pains here.
Sure.
Because, this is relatively new. We've talked to other people with businesses, 5-7 years. You're on the higher end of the people we've talked to so far. So did you have a lot of growing pains starting this out, or was it pretty easy going?
There were the growing pains that we experienced were really the ones that we didn't even know they were going to happen. A lot of it would come with things like expenses that you have no way how to account for. Like, I have no idea how much to budget for this or budget for that. A lot of like with vehicle maintenance, or how much money do I need to set aside in case something goes wrong with our building we're leasing that's not covered by the landlord. I was pretty blessed, I would say, to being in the space I was at before. I had already networked and made a lot of contacts, as I'm sure Tony did. I knew a lot of the county workers and SASs. And I had access to a bunch of great people that I'd worked with. And I knew, quite frankly, that the biggest issue that a lot of DSPs have is pay. Yeah. So my goal when I opened on day one, before we opened, was I believed firmly in that Bernie Sanders $15 minimum wage. So I had a goal that our company, I'm tired of DSPs making $9-10 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our DSPs, we pretty much drew a line in the sand and said they're starting out at 14, and by this year, they'll all be at 15 and above. And I feel like it's paid for itself because our turnover ratio is like pretty much non-existent.
I will say, goodness, it is good to see that people stick around there. And I mean, we even have a couple of your employees who work residential part-time for us.
Okay.
And I'm not one for poaching.
Sure.
We never did that, and never would want to do that. Yeah. And I would always probably come to John first, like, hey, like, look, such and such is trying to come on, and how do you feel about it? But this person is such a great worker.
Yeah.
And she's happy where she is here because she is being satisfied
right
there for the majority. And I'm like, that is good. And even like, we are higher than the city and the state average in pay. The city's average is $978, and the state of Ohio, the average is $1017. We're around $1076 is what the number comes out to be, which is fairly good for a DSP, especially for a newer company offering healthcare and some of the we're also in the ERN now. So we're providing a whole lot of extra services. But I mean, you are so right that we need to be able to get on that level of giving our DSPs the props and pay for what they do. Yeah. Like, I mean, there were times we lost DSPs to Walmart because Walmart's paying $13-14 an hour.
I know, that's frustrating.
Yes, and it's hard to compete with that because we are at the salary cap. But I mean, I tell anybody who's listening, anybody who will, email, write letters if that's the old school thing to do, picket, petition, look who you vote for, because Medicaid is not just the person on welfare who's not trying to work. It is the individuals that we serve. And I think that needs to be yelled from the rooftops.
Absolutely.
Wow. So I kind of liked your philosophy, the no bullshit philosophy. I think that's a good one. I know, some places will tell you whatever you want to hear just to get your money in the door, and then it's complete disappointment. So can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? I mean, I know it's a broad topic, but I
mean, I would say just kind of like, to a certain extent, it doesn't do me any good to basically like have somebody come on board, milk their Medicaid dollar for everything I can, and then 6 months later they're gone because they hated our program. So I try to be open and honest and just say this is exactly what we are. These are flaws. I mean, at least I was told in other jobs, you don't point out your flaws. I mean, I share them, openly and honestly. Like, look, if you don't want to hear cussing and you don't like being around people that smoke, you're not going to want to go to this program. We have a lot of people that cuss and they smoke, and that's their right. And that's what we work with them on, is trying to be, a little bit more socially conscious of how to act in in an appropriate manner. But it doesn't do me any good to tell, 80-year-old mother bringing her son over, oh yeah, we're like church mouse over here, and it's all, and then they come on a tour and they hear the F-bomb 50 times, so
right.
That's the main thing I would say, is just not being afraid to point out your flaws. Because I think any place, when you work in this field, anywhere, but in this field, there's definitely things you can't control. There's things that are wrong with, that happen, that it's no fault of any provider. Like, there's people that we work with that it doesn't matter who's working with them. This individual's issues or behavioral concerns or mental health issues are going to manifest themselves, and you either choose to serve them or you don't. But once you choose to serve them, you have to be conscious of the fact that that person might negatively affect somebody else. So we try to discreetly just make sure everybody knows there are people that we serve who have behavioral and mental health issues. So don't be shocked if your son or daughter comes home and says, well, I saw somebody having a behavior. They were yelling at staff. And it's like, well, that happens every day.
It's part of the gig.
That's how it goes.
So you guys you're in the similar field, but you have different things that your businesses offer to everyone. I know there's some overlap, like you guys talked about a little bit, but can you guys kind of just discuss what's different about what you guys do?
Well, the number one thing, he can go home after 4:30, 5 o'clock and sleep like a baby.
I could, until I opened that record store. It's like one more thing to babysit.
And honestly, that's another thing that I love about this guy. He went and opened a record store.
What?
Now, yes. And
now you're crossing into my world. What's going on here?
Well, it was phenomenal with me because I am a true entrepreneur businessman, and what I do is MSNBC and stuff is like, that's all the kind of TV that I watch.
Yeah.
Records are making a major comeback.
Yeah.
No. Dude.
Really?
The
like wax record,
authentic,
vinyl.
Authentic, man. They're coming back. I want to say it was a 20% increase in sales in 2018. Then it was another 30% up in 2019. So I mean,
that they're like $35 a piece.
So
now.
You struck a pretty good chord with that.
Yeah, and I started collecting records probably obsessively about 7-8 years ago.
Okay.
And it got to the point where I either had to open a store or buy another house to keep my records in. And we had issues with individuals that were leaving our program, getting a job out in the community, and then it was, they'd end up coming back. So the whole idea from the store was, we're going to open a store, we're going to offer jobs to people with disabilities.
Right.
About half the people that go there, we still are getting funding to do job coaching. About the other half are basically just people I'm paying on my payroll.
Okay.
But it's meant to be a soft landing spot. And I would say, just from you and I know you're still growing and developing and starting your Voc program. But on the surface, the biggest difference between Tony and I is, as he stated, he's like the king monster out there in the residential world. You're spread out all over Lucas County, I'm sure, providing services. We are basically, I have 3 people that we provide level 1, 4 hours a week service to. Other than that, our program is vocational. So,
well, I think that's crazy. The overlap. So you took a passion that you have, the record collection, music. You have the other business you own, vocational.
Yeah.
And you've merge them together. Not ever in my brain would I have thought that those two things could be connected. And that's why I love talking to people like you guys, entrepreneurs, because you take things that have no sense going together, and you're like, I'm making money off it. So that's so cool. That's like the most amazing thing.
Well, and it's kind of going with how this podcast is going to eventually accumulate. I mean, not only it's like we're putting what we can out there, what we know, in order to help people. For one, I mean, anybody that I associate with, that has to be the number one. I'm not going to bring anybody in here and even associate with anybody who's just like, oh man, I need an IO waiver individual so I can get that 100K. And it's like, no, if that's the route that you're going, you're not going to be in business long, for one. And number two, you're going to make somebody's life miserable because you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. But I really enjoy that once you push whatever you need out there, it comes back tenfold. I mean, especially if it has a positive ring to it. And like, that's what this podcast is meant to do. You know, I hope DSPs are listening and getting these nuggets, because I know all my DSPs can't always have that opportunity to speak with me. You know, how often will they have the opportunity to speak with you? And to be able to see us come together and say, hey, we're all here for the same thing.
Absolutely.
And, you know, look from our troubles. I mean, it has not been peaches and cream for any of us, you know, and if it has been, I don't really want to sit with you because you don't have any struggle behind you.
That's true.
You know, I need struggle in my life. Right?
So I'm interested in this record store thing. What's the name?
It's All Together Now. Stole it from a Beatles song, but it's we're tying it, I guess, because I call it a record store, but technically it is a record book art store. So we have local artists are displayed. Their artwork is on the walls for sale. We have books that we're not competing with Barnes and Nobles, obviously, but you can come in and find a good quality book. I think we've probably got maybe 5,000 books on the shelf.
Oh man, that's nice.
I mean, vinyl's where it's at. We've got about
good number.
got about 15,000 records on the store. Anything from Neil Diamond to Primus, you come in, you're gonna find some. We've got some 21 Savage. We're all over the place. We've got old school, we've got country, gospel. But that's basically the philosophy of the store altogether. We've got three kind of the holy trinity of art, books, and records as far as that goes, and then just tying in the individuals that desperately want to be employed out in the community. Maybe they just lack that experience or confidence building that we're hoping the store is giving them, an opportunity to interact with customers. And, we've had moments where customers have come in and they leave, and we have to pull the person aside and say, okay, when somebody comes in to shop, that you got to make sure you're giving them space. If you're initiating a conversation and they're engaging, cool, run with it. But if you're the only one talking and it's been 10 minutes and they're still looking through records, kind of, you got to remember they might just be here to shop. Give them space. So, and it's been pretty awesome. So our folks are starting to get that stuff, and we're getting regulars now, and
awesome.
It's been. And the coolest thing is we get live bands to come and play. It's
really?
Probably my favorite.
Why aren't we recording this there?
Yeah.
Live band in the background.
I will say that's my fault. He did offer for us to come one day.
He didn't tell me that. No, that's super. How many people do you employ there from vocational?
We have, right now we have 10 individuals that are doing crossovers. They attend the vocational program for the majority of their day. Then they spend the last 2 hours working in the store. So they cross over into like group employment. We have 5 individuals that just work in the store we're not on their plan. We're not getting any funding. We're just hired them, slightly overstaffed, but it's worth it. We got a 16-year-old kid at Bowser. First job he's ever had. So the first paycheck he got.
Oh, nice.
He was on cloud 9. So that's, it's what we're trying to do. So we have those, and then we basically have 3, I guess, individuals like myself that, kind of work in the Voc program, and then also help out on weekends and evenings to just be there in case anything happens.
Gotcha.
We typically have 2 to 3 people working. A little overstaffed for a store of our size.
Well, if anybody's listening or watching, you want to tell them what the address is?
Yeah, it's 5122 Suite 5 Heather Downs Boulevard, just about a minute down the road from here. So
I'm gonna have to come in and check it out. I got
Lydia's working tonight. Stop in and see her.
I got a couple. Not a couple. I got a lot. Johnny Cash records. Big Johnny Cash fan. I got a ton. People were giving them to me. And I have a record player, but I mean, I don't
well, sir, you are in luck because we have the biggest Johnny Cash collection in town. I probably have 100 records on the floor right now of Johnny Cash. About another 300 that they won't let me put out because they think I obsess on Johnny Cash. But
you want some more? Because I'd never use them. Man, that's so awesome. So, like, as business owners, what do you guys kind of see yourselves doing this down the road? I mean, is this long term? Obviously, you don't own a business just to shut her down in a couple of months.
Yeah,
right.
So, long term game. What are we talking here? I know that's a tough question.
That's
what I'm here for.
I mean,
to ask you the tough
right. Personally, I can answer this one a little first myself. And I mean this no disrespect to any other agency out there, but I want to be the reason every other agency changes the way they do things. I want their curriculum to be modeled after Friends for Life. I want when they go to the county is pulling out books and say, hey, this is how Friends for Life does it. This is how it should be done. That's the number one thought, because I just know that I have a personal feeling about the individuals we serve that is much different from everyone else. The second part of that is I want to be able to teach people to do better.
Awesome.
And because I really feel, and you and I have discussed this a lot, but I really feel like too many people are blinded by day-to-day life and they're on autopilot. And not even a good autopilot. Like, it's okay to be in some kind of good autopilot.
Not like the safe airplane autopilot, but like...
I mean, it's more like, I'm going to wake up, go to something that I hate and just sit there and try to do as much least as possible and get as much as possible. And after I work there for 6 months to a year, I'm going to say I want to raise because I've done what I was supposed to do. And that's not how I believe it should go. I try to tell everybody who comes in when I sit with them at some point that I do not reward with merit raises per se or like loyalty raises. I need to see you go above and beyond. And this is honestly a good feeling that I had. I had sat down with one of my staff the other day. They brought in an envelope that had all the new things that they learned and that they did, and politely asked, could they get a raise? And I was clapping. I'm like, you're learning. You're learning. Because, I mean, there's people who've been in the field for over 10, 15 years, and you ask them, what does HPC stand for? They couldn't tell you. Ask, what is a SAS? Oh, that's that person that comes in. Okay, what does it stand for? And it's like they don't know. So we have little cheat sheets that we hand out whenever somebody comes in. We give them homework because I'm not going to tell them all of the answers. I'm like, let me see you go find it. And some people would just go out and Google it. Like, it'll be so wrong. They'll come back. SAS stands for super ass something something. Yep. SASS.
That's what I thought it stood for.
But, if I can do those two things, give everybody the playbook on how I made it through this field without it being work, because it never felt like work to me. I mean, Paul's probably tired of hearing me say that, but it never felt like work. It never feels like work. Like, it is so awesome.
I think that's what they call a passion. If I believe I'm not mistaken.
Just a lot of it. And, getting others to do better and find their passion per se, so they can do better.
Awesome.
But other than that, I don't necessarily know if billionaire is the word. I mean, I think trillionaire is better. Like,
why have a billion when you can have a trillion?
Right.
Why not?
But what about you, John?
Groundbreaking news. I'm actually retiring and stepping down from my status as CEO of the company in March of this upcoming year.
March of 2020.
Yeah. So
everyone, you heard it here first.
Yeah, you've heard it first. I've leaked that out to a few people at the county, and my staff have known for a year. It has been like, my philosophy is, when you reach a point where you know that you feel as if like you're starting to, like, I've peaked, and am I bringing anything fresh, or am I holding back the talented people I have behind me that have ideas that, because I'm so used to being on top and I got to make the final say. About a year and a half ago, I kind of got to the point where I realized what I love most about this field is just it's been in me my whole life. My dad was always on the county board. I've got autism runs in my family. I've got a couple of nephews that, I love to death, and I love spending time with them. So, I love the field because I love being around the people. Anybody from the county or anybody from Sunshine knows I hate sitting in meetings. I hate being around tables with people talking about people with disabilities. I like being with people with disabilities. So I'm actually going to retire, and hopefully you first will hire me to be a DSP.
Nice.
And I'm going to continue to work for the company. Of course, I'll still own the company, which is a nice little perk. But I've been grooming my successor. You probably know Kelly, who's worked for me for about 6.5 years. So she'll be taking over as CEO. And
Kelly's great, everybody.
I get her in here.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that, I'm pretty much relying on the 8 staff I've had that have been with me for like the last 6 years to basically, hey, step up. It's time for you to take your management role seriously, because I'm going to be looking at you saying, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
Who do you need me to work with? So I'm excited about it. I obviously, there'll be, as owning the company, there's going to be certain things I can't get away from. Like, dang it, I still got to do taxes. But I'm looking forward to just honestly showing up to work, hanging out with people, hopefully making their day better. One thing that I always tell, how you know if you're a good staff or not is, are the individuals you worked with happy when you come or happy when you leave? So
I like that.
I'm hoping I can just do what I feel like is just something that God blessed me with, which I can't. It's just my personality just seems to be that I'm meant to hang out in this field and be more of a friend than So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm looking forward to. And of course, focusing on my record store. Which,
there you go.
That sounds like a good retirement.
More of a hobby than more than a hobby than a business at this point.
All those Johnny Cash records ain't gonna play themselves.
They're not. So.
Yeah, I always wanted to scratch.
Get somebody.
I
heard you had a big get together last night.
It was awesome for Halloween, man, and I
heard all about it for 3 weeks leading up to, and the day after. So.
And the day after, look,
good time.
So that means that we did something. We had karaoke, everybody dressed up.
Yeah.
It was a real cool event, and that's one of the things that we've been really focusing on. A lot more activities, and that's honestly, that's funny that you even mentioned that, because we used to, in the residential side of things, always tell our staff, hey, you should get out more, go do this, go do this. And we're giving them too many options, and that's, again, when it comes to changing the mindset, when you have a person who's been doing something the same way for so long and you give them the option not to change, they're not going to change. It's going to constantly be an excuse why it didn't work. So we took out that whole option in general. Here, we're having co-ed night. This is where you have to be at such and such time. You're working. Oh, you don't have a ride? You didn't drive today? Don't worry, we got you. I bought a brand new nice vehicle. It seats a whole lot and it's pretty big.
There you go.
So we're scheduling things and we're staying on it.
Awesome.
Like that and social media and podcasts.
Now, I have a very important question.
Oh, hit me.
Do I get to keep this? Is this a swag cup or is this... That's
You know what? You're the first person to ask.
I'm just saying it's very nice. I love the color. It'd be getting plugged at my record store, and people come in and see me drinking. It's almost like free advertising for you. So
it's yours.
Man, I don't even have one yet.
He asked. Like, you're the only one to ask.
Hey, that staff that came in with her, she inspired me. I said, maybe I should just ask.
Yeah. See? Bold move.
Yeah.
Bold.
Not really that bold. They're good cups.
Bold and beautiful.
We've been drinking out of them.
They're
beautiful. They're sparkly. For those that can't see these, they're just super beautiful.
So
sparkly.
shiny.
So
let's plug in a lady who makes Angie's Creative Gifts.
Beautiful.
And we get these made for anniversaries and stuff.
Very nice.
For our staff, and we like 1 year and 2 year anniversaries. We put little things in them like movie tickets, gift cards, things like that. Try to keep morale up. Again, because I don't do those raises. I'll give you a type of bonus or something.
So, John, you said you've been in this field for like a minute, quite a long time. So can we just dive into your history a little bit? I mean, you kind of already touched on it a little bit, but you grew up around it.
Let me interrupt. Have you ever got fired?
No,
oh,
never been fired. No.
Am I the only one?
Yeah, I stand correct. I've not been fired, but I'm pretty certain UPS will never hire me again. I did work there, and I made up an excuse about my grandma dying for the 7th time why I couldn't come in. They got wise to it, and apparently I'm on the do not hire list. So I've never been fired, but I cannot get rehired at UPS.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
Well, I'm sorry to stay on this. I had a guy who worked for us, and he had got into it with an individual, and the individual was very high functioning, and he told him off, and the staff person really wasn't able to take it the way that he should have. Yeah. So he said some words back, and it got investigated, and he was wrong. Well, it wasn't anything that, was going to put him out of the field forever, but all of a sudden we get a call the weekend he's supposed to work from his quote-unquote dad that he mysteriously got into this accident, and he's on the bed, like barely making it for his life. Yeah. But he sounds exactly like the person who got into this altercation. Yeah, tell me about it. Well, fast forward some time, all of a sudden we're doing co-ed work with another agency. For those who don't know, I love to work with other agencies. You and I, work together with the individual, and many other agencies I do this with. We happen to go in there, and here's that gentleman working. Talk about funny. The
awkward moment.
Oh man, it gets even worse. After we notice it's him, one of the staff go and say, "Hey, what's your name?" He changed his name to something else. And I don't want to put either name out, but it was just like one of those situations like, wow, you almost pretty much killed yourself not to go into work. Like, you could have just said, hey, I don't want to come back.
That's pretty elaborate. Yeah. I mean, I've made up some stories to call off of work in my younger days, but I've never claimed dead. Yeah. So that's I mean,
I even called off with a stomachache, coughing. Like, my stomach
that
hurts.
never works.
Yeah, it didn't. I got rolled up.
Similar. I called off once, and all I could think of is I've got a fever of 103, and I think I said it in the song, hot blooded. Didn't go over well the next day when I was miraculously better. Like my daughter downstairs who skipped school today, but now is fine.
No, yep, 100%.
That's the classic.
Yeah. Well, that's
Friday
what
morning
sickness.
sickness.
Well, it's really interesting because nowadays, just like, man, it's a national epidemic, this whole ghosting thing. Yeah. Even for, companies. Like you'll set up orientation and hire somebody, and then they'll just disappear. Like I thought it was just this field. I thought it was just our company until I dove into the research, and I'm like, wow, this is happening everywhere.
Yeah, don't take it personal.
Yeah,
I did in my career before. When you hire a staff, they don't show up. Like, man, and you realize, that happens to everybody. Right?
Well, I'm sure when you have your own business, things are a little more personal than if you're manager at X company, you're just like, well, we get this every day. But it's like, man, this is me. But I mean, to go back a little bit, how did you get into the field?
Honestly, just by mistake. I mean, I was a UT student and I needed a summer job. I applied to work at a YMCA for like a summer program, and I was like 2 days too late applying. They'd already hired the last position. So I saw just an ad in the paper, and it was just the classic, just meant to happen. I saw an ad about the same thing. It was for a summer camp at the UT rec center. I had no idea that it was for working with people with special needs. So I call the ad. I go out there, and I realize what it is. I'd never even heard of Sunshine at that point in time, but I spent my first summer swimming and playing basketball all day long with a group of about 4 dudes, and it was like awesome. I thought it was the best. It actually spoiled me because I think I tried to get another job and it's like this job's work. Right?
Yeah.
You want me to like stack boxes and do stuff? Sorry, UPS
man.
again to give you a shout out, but
Right. Well, mine was at Calphalon, 4 days.
Okay.
So all I could do.
Yep.
I said, yeah, this is not for me, buddy.
So yeah, I did that for like 3 summers, and then when I graduated, I worked at Sunshine for like 2 years as a house manager. Moved to Columbus for a couple of years and worked for a similar sized agency down there for a couple of years as a Q, doing case management.
Okay.
And then got back up here to Toledo about 2008 probably, and spent 2008 to 13 at Sunshine, and been doing my own thing since then. So
It's funny. You guys have very similar stories.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they say that like the vast majority, that you'd be shocked if you have a room full of people. You say, raise your hand if when you were 22, you thought this would be the field you'd be working in. And not a lot of people. This is not like I'm a English lit major. Like speaking, writing books, I write on the side. So I opened a bookstore, so I'll have a place to sell my book at, which you can sell your book there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It just keeps on. The story keeps unfolding.
Unfolding.
Every
Yeah.
time we talk, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you also write.
Yeah, not I would say not at the level that I'd like to be at yet, but it's a passion, it's a hobby, and it's something I enjoy. But that's what when I'm a 22-year-old version of me.
I'm sure with retirement, man, you're gonna have that opportunity to do that, and that's. I mean, I think that's what we all, quote unquote, work to get to. To the point where we can enjoy those things that we want to do and get something out of it. I mean, just looking back, like, because when you said that, like, my goal was actually own a Burger King as a teenager.
Nice.
I was working there.
I wish you owned Burger King. I'm on some Burger King right now.
Dude. You had the sandwich with the pretzel bun.
I haven't.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
Go get one. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's got bacon. Oh, man.
Tomorrow's a cheat day for me, so yeah, I'm on that.
Every day's a cheat day for me.
No loyalty.
No, that's super awesome. So what do you like to write about?
I really like, I'd say the first book that I really fell in love with was Sherwood Anderson's Winesburg, Ohio. So like it's a collection, if you're not familiar with, collection of short stories that all interact with each other. So they stand on their own, but this story might be about this baker per se, and this, the postman might come in and deliver his mail, and the next story is about the postman. So
Marvel.
Yeah, I really I find that it's too hard for my brain to think I'm going to write from A to Z and write like a novel, but I love writing short stories, and I love writing short stories where they could stand on their own, but they also could be part of a larger story being told. Nice. So that's kind of what I do. I've probably, I've spent quite a bit of time working on them. And my goal someday is to, here in the next 4 or 5 years, get my top 50 short stories put together. And my goal, as we're businessmen, is to cut the guy out that takes most of the money. And my goal is to fund my own book publishing.
There
so
you
that
go.
if it does sell, I can...
I think that's what a lot of people are doing, because I just read, I don't remember the title. I literally just finished it this morning. That David Goggins book. He's that crazy like ultra marathon runner dude.
Okay.
Everybody loves David. Beast, man.
Tony's the one who told me to read it, so I checked it out, and he had a very similar thing. He said some publisher offered him $300,000 for his book, and he's like, this is mine. I don't care if I make $1 off it, and it's a huge, national bestseller.
Yeah.
So that's a cool, I think you guys being self-starters, that's just your first motivation is to do your own thing, do your own business, do your own book, do your own everything.
And before we wrap up, because I know you're a busy man, you got to do things. As a kid, did you ever have any kind of entrepreneurial things that stuck out to you?
It's kind of weird. I would say probably not really. As a kid growing up, I grew up in a big union environment. So I would say that growing up, I would anticipated that I would have been like a teacher or a fireman or doing something where, I'm not saying you fall in line, but I was very comfortable having somebody above me, as a safety net. So that was probably the hardest thing for me, was kind of being the last person I didn't, and I don't necessarily know how I feel about that still. But, that's part of why I'm looking forward to doing something where it's like, once I get my book published, I've kind of can check that off my list. And
right.
I don't care if you buy it or not, but if you do, it'll be at sale altogether now.
That's a good philosophy to have.
Yes,
I think
yes.
I like to read a lot, and I do a lot of biographies, autobiographies, all that stuff. And I mean, I was talking to Tony about this a couple weeks ago. Like all these dudes that are super successful, they write these autobiographies. Their first thing they say is, I never gave a shit if anyone liked it. Like this is just, I did it because I wanted to create it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great, because there's a lot of people that create things to try and get people to like them. That's why you have girls out there on Instagram showing their butts and stuff, because they want attention. Whereas people who are passionate and like have an understanding of how things work want to make things just to do it. Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it's a business. It doesn't matter if it's a book. It doesn't matter if it's you're a 10 or a 15-year-old kid doing a rap album on an audio recorder in your bedroom. Like,
you're just trying to sound like if you're just trying to replicate what's popular right now, it's not gonna work.
It's not.
Flavor of the week. It never lasts.
Yeah.
That's why we're so awesome, and we're going to continue to be awesome. John. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me out. This is a lot of fun. So
it was awesome. Well, we got to do it again, especially after you retire. So we
absolutely
see what your life is like, how it's changed.
We'll get you in here as John the DSP.
I'll tell you what, you guys can come out. I'll tell you how many write-ups I got for being late to work. I am notoriously late, so I'm gonna have to correct that.
I know somebody else like that.
But when you're the boss, it's okay.
Appreciate you guys having me up.
Hey, thank you.
Man, that's awesome.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching the Friends for Life podcast. Don't forget to help us out by hitting that subscribe button. We got a bunch more stuff coming for you. See you next time.
Oh, here he is.
Hey buddy, you keep the captain's chair.
Yep.
Give us a plug for that for that YouTube channel. Give us your name first.
Okay, King of Cats, uppercase K for king, uppercase O above, uppercase K for cats instead of C, no spaces.
What's your name, young man?
Ethan.
Ethan. So what's your YouTube channel name?
King of Cats.
And what do you do?
Play Fortnite or Ark.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun. You think someone like me would be good at Fortnite? Or am I too old? We need honest answers now. No. Do you have anything you want the people to know about your YouTube channel? Is it the best YouTube channel on the internet?
No.
No.
What do you listen to? Who's that guy you're always watching? Mr. Beast or something like that?
Mr. Beast and Laserbeam.
Okay.
Are you gonna outdo them
someday?
No.
Yeah,
Probably
I think you
not.
will.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna send you over and let Tony groom you.
Yeah. We never say we're not going to do awesome.
Get this guy in your corner. Between the two of them, they'll get your channel to take off.
All right, we'll throw you in there. You're gonna be famous.
Okay.
You ready for the fame? Child star. You gonna pay for your dad's retirement?
That's right.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Hey,
We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man. Good
All
luck
right, buddy.